Welcome back to the Life and Tribe podcast. This is episode 237. On this episode, we had Ben Felton back on the pod after a 5K and 10K PR. The interesting thing about that is he's been kind of training a little differently. He's been doing a lot more bike, a little less volume on the run. It's been paying off for him. So we talked all about that. On this episode, we also talked about some current events in running. We talked about doping, world cross country. We talked about the Boston field a little bit too, how to run the fastest you can at Boston. Ben had a PR at Boston a few years ago. Asked him what's the fastest way to attack the Boston course. So, yeah, really interesting conversation. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, please leave a review, drop a comment, share with a friend. We will catch you on 238. When we're running through Norton Commons or the Pewee Valley area in Louisville, Kentucky, it's pretty easy to spot Mason Construction Home. The attention to detail, the quality, the stunning design, you can't miss it. It stands out. We aren't just saying that either. Our own co-host Scotty trusted Mason Construction to build his forever home, and he and his family couldn't be happier. Don't tell Scotty this, but we're at his house a lot because we love the home. He's all right too, though. If you live in the Louisville or Southern Indiana area and are thinking about building your forever home or doing a remodel, there is nobody else to trust with this project than Mason Construction. The link to their website is in our show notes. Click on the request information option and start the conversation about what your forever home could look like. Dude, well, we just had Ellis Cross on the pod. Have you talked to him at all before?
Yeah, I have talked to Ellis. I actually spoke to him about getting him on the pod. Felix messaged me and said, "Can you reach out to Ellis or some of the team of Cowboys to get them on the pod?" So I think you actually have me to thank for that conversation. I listened to it this morning on the bike. So yeah, really interesting to hear about his prep for Seville Marathon and his 209:30 attempt. So yeah, wish him all the best.
Yeah, he did like a 103 kind of controlled half marathon in training. So he seems
Yeah,
pretty
it's looking
optimistic. And
good.
he was like, sometimes you hop on a podcast and it's like, okay, this might be tough to like kind of get this conversation like over an hour, but like Ellis is like, he was talkative, super conversive, like just really cool guy. So yeah, I'm a fan for sure. We'll definitely have him back on. So,
Yeah, he's
you
a
know who
really
I
cool
really
guy.
want? Yeah, I want Phil Sussman on the pod so bad, but he hasn't
Yeah.
responded to the DM yet.
Okay. Maybe I can help you out. I'll drop Phil a message and see if he's up for it.
Uh, you don't have to do that, but I just like I've been watching his YouTube and I'm just I like it. I like his personality and it's just cool.
Yeah,
I'm like
definitely.
I'm like weirdly like a big fan of British marathoning these days. So
Yeah, I love how Phil is like so open with his training as well. He puts it all out on Strava, like splits, and then obviously has his YouTube stuff where he shares a lot, like a lot more than other guys at his level would be sharing. So yeah, I respect that a lot about
yeah,
him. And obviously he's taken a big leap in his marathon like career in the last few years or 6 months. Was it like 2:07 marathons back to back, basically? One in Amsterdam, and then his performance in Valencia was kind of like overshadowed a little bit by Alex Yee. Like all of the British attention
yeah,
kind of went towards that performance, but I feel like Phil was only a couple of like 30 seconds behind. Um, and
yeah,
he kind of is showing like that potential of continuing to progress. So I wouldn't be surprised if yeah, come his next marathon, then he's getting closer and closer to that sort of that British record sort of territory now.
yeah, for sure. I agree. I think like he's definitely progressing pretty much every time he goes out. He had a tough one at London, but that was a really hot day, as you know. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for him. One of the funny things I've noticed on his YouTube was that Emil Karras like doesn't seem like he likes to do interviews and like socials that much.
Yeah.
It seems like he's not super into it. So he's kind of just like a shy, like performance based kind of guy, which is fine too. That's just for his personality. So
Yeah, I must admit, like, he's not that keen on being in front of camera. He much prefers to let his like marathon running or whatever race he's doing do the talking. It's just his personality. I think he's a little bit more introverted. But I've seen he's out in
yeah,
Kenya training with Canova's group again. So I'm sure he'll be back absolutely flying around a marathon course. I don't know if which one he's doing, but I wouldn't be surprised if he crops back up at maybe London and yeah, he'll be right back up there, I'm sure.
yeah. It's It's funny that him and Phil train in Leeds. Like, is Leeds like for some reason like a good spot for training? Like when you think of Leeds, or is that just kind of
Yeah,
random?
I don't really know, to be honest. Like Leeds is quite far north from where I am, so I've never actually been up there. But um, yeah, I think as Ellis was kind of saying about Teddington, it's more of a case of as soon as you get some top level runners there that all like train together, it kind of attracts all the other top level runners, and then it becomes a bit more of like a training hub. So I know Phil Sessman calls his like training camps like Meanwood training camps or something like that, and that's when Ali G jumps in, and then yeah, Emil Caress is in that group as well. So I think it's just a group of guys getting together basically, and it just happens to be in Leeds. That's kind of where they've got all um, their facilities and stuff that they need for their
Yeah.
training and yeah, physios and stuff like that. So that it clearly works for them anyway.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like, they got a good running situation there. They got like a tow path and stuff. So, yeah, not bad. I wanted to ask you too, it seems like the top like British athletes, they like pretty much always do London Marathon, and then the top Americans will do Boston Marathon like every single year.
Yeah,
Like, and I want like it frustrates me because like I would love to see Phil or Emil take on Boston, and at the same time, I would love to see like Connor Mance run London, but I just don't know if it'll ever happen, just like
yeah.
financially for it to make sense for them.
Yeah, I've
And
I've
that's just
heard
like I
like
don't know if you've ever thought about that.
with London Marathon, they kind of really like focus on British talent. Like I think I've heard probably from your podcast, to be honest, is like Rory would love to do it, but there's never really been an opportunity there for him because obviously if he does Boston, he can put food on the table type thing. Whereas in London, they might
Yeah,
give you a small appearance fee, but they put a lot of their funding into the British athletes, which I guess is why you see when London does come around, all the Brits are like interested in doing it a little bit more because of the way they just structure their approach at getting sort of if unless you're like the top of the top in marathon running, like the Kenyans and Ethiopian like 202 guys, they've got funding for them. But then when it comes to like I don't know, the other European and Americans that are running like 205 to 210, then there doesn't seem to be that much of a pull for the London Marathon to bring in those sort of athletes. So yeah, I agree. It would be great to see them like at least align in terms of the fields. But yeah, Boston and London, I guess, are always competing with each other, being in April sort of time. So I don't know if we'll ever see it,
yeah,
but
yeah. It'd be cool because I think like the top Brits right now like really match up well with like the top American guys. So it'd be really cool to see them, especially on like a faster course, like duke it out, like to see like Connor and Emil or like Clayton Young and Rory versus Phil Sussman, like that would be
yeah,
just really cool for a fan to watch. But I don't know if we'll literally ever get that. So
yeah, no,
well, at the
I don't
Olympics
know.
we did. At the Olympics we did, but not in like a major. So I don't know.
It'd be cool if there was like
Did you see
something like
the?
the is it the golf where they do like America versus the UK? I I don't know the
Yeah, yeah,
competition too well,
Ryder
but
Cup.
the Ryder Cup, yeah. If there was something like that for like the top British marathon runners and then the top American, I think that would be super entertaining to watch. It would be a good
Oh
race for sure. But again,
yeah,
there's a lot of money in marathon running, isn't there? Especially world majors and stuff like that. So there'd have to be some financial shifts for that to happen. But hypothetically, it'd be
did
great.
you
It'd be great to see.
did you see the women's Boston field that got released?
Yeah, it seems pretty good. Like there's a definite depth there. The list just went on forever, didn't it?
But that was my main that was my main takeaway, was that the list was like ridiculously long. I was like, how did they
Yeah,
afford all of these people? So, I
yeah, it
mean,
looks really
because
good.
Chicago's women's field was like 10 to 15 women, So I was like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, they got like a
there
whole
was like
corral of women
almost
for
40
this race.
on that list, all from
Yeah,
like fr ranging from 217 down to like 234. So yeah, that'd be a good one to watch. I've actually got a favorite already for that win. I think her name is Lois. She's a Kenyan runner that I actually saw when I was out there last time. And she's sort of like coming up the ranks, and I've got a feeling like she's like one marathon now away from breaking into into the top of marathon running. So I think her name it's Lois, and it starts with a C. Can't exactly remember, but
Chep
it,
Karui maybe, or
something like that. She's an ASICS athlete, and I was speaking to her coach in the coffee shop in the 10, and he was like saying that she's going to be the next big thing. So I believed him. So if she wins Boston, then the inside scoop came from here.
not okay. Yeah, that's a good inside scoop. I wonder what her PB is. I'll have to look at the list and see what her PB is. But I
I think
believe you. I mean,
she's only run one marathon. Let me see if I can find on the Boston Marathon
uh,
Instagram here.
yeah, I know
It was
Sidious Mag
announced
posted
yesterday,
the
wasn't it?
list. Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
Sidious Mag posted
Sidious?
it on
Okay.
Instagram.
Women's
Yeah,
pro
yeah.
field. Lois Chemnung. I think
Okay, I was wrong.
she's one, two, three, four, five, sixth fastest on paper. So I mean, if
Okay.
you're a betting guy, then it might be a good one. Not that I am, but yeah, I reckon she's due for a good one. But I mean, having Sharon Lacady in it again she's going to be hard to beat.
On the topic of Boston, so I, had a like rough race at Houston, and my next race on the plan was Boston, and I want to race Boston, like, but my like ultimate goal is to like qualify for the US Olympic trials. I have to get my time down to 2:16, and so I didn't want my only spring race to be after Houston didn't go well. I didn't want my only spring race to be Boston because I didn't think it was like a perfect course for a PR. But then I like posted a reel kind of with my thought process on that. And a lot of people were like, oh, like you can PR Boston for sure. And I know you have before. So like, what do you think? Like, maybe like, how did you run the race, or like, what's the best way to run Boston and like pace it for a PR? Because like some people are like, you got to use the downhills at the beginning. And then some people are like, you got to be real careful the front half because it'll destroy your quads. So I'm curious, like how you pace that race, and like what do you think about Boston being a PR course?
Yeah, so I did Boston in 2023, and it was kind of my biggest jump in terms of performance in the marathon. I went from 2:28 to 2:24. And to be honest, going into Boston, I was thinking exactly the same as you there. Like, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a PR course, so I was kind of like a little bit flexible, I guess, in my approach to it. I was just hoping to maybe scrape a 30 seconds minute off the time I'd run previously. I think it was in Osaka, which was like a completely flat Japanese marathon where I ran my PB prior to that. So going into Boston, I kind of had low expectations of running a crazy fast time, which definitely helped. And obviously based off the course profile, I was going to go into it without like a strict like pacing plan. And for me, that kind of worked really well because, as you said, the first half is so downhill. Like looking at your splits is kind of pointless. So
Yeah.
I had like one game plan, which was to get to the hilly section, the sort of Heartbreak Hill, um at like 30K onwards. I was aiming just to get there feeling somewhat strong, and like I hadn't burnt any matches until I got there. So I basically just ran a quite a smart race in terms of I didn't overcook things early on. I used the downhills, ran some really fast miles when I maybe wasn't planning to, but it was just based purely on the elevation. Like I remember the first mile is ridiculous. It's like literally a roller
Yeah.
coaster going downhill, and I'd never raced on a course where it has such a heavy downhill. And obviously, you do worry about your quads like giving in a bit.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, I didn't really have any issues in the race. It was kind of more just like recovery after was quite it took a little bit longer to recover from a course like Boston than it would, say, a Valencia because of the downhills, I think, in the first half. So, yeah, my advice if you're doing Boston is to have a flexible pacing strategy up until the hills and just try and run it more to marathon effort rather than to pace because yeah, I feel like it is definitely you can definitely run a PB there, but it's not like obviously it's not a Valencia course where everything's going to go perfectly and you're going to have these perfect even splits. You kind of just got to race the race as if it's like a cross
Yeah.
country or something like that.
Yeah, and I agree, and that was kinda like my so, like, I ended up signing up for a race, like, 3 weeks before Boston. That's, like, a faster, flatter course. Like, I'll get bottles and stuff, and, like, I just, like, I didn't wanna go into Boston with, like, pressure to run a certain time because, like, exactly like you said, I think you gotta race it more on, like, feel and, like, kind of adjust, like, use the downhill, like, don't push too hard on the uphills, but, like, you can't really think about I feel like you can't go into Boston with, like, a time in mind. Like, you gotta just take what the course gives you and just run based on effort the whole way. And then
Yeah, definitely.
hopefully once you get over the hills, the last 5 miles, you just bomb that downhill and you leave yourself feeling good for that last 5 miles with the down. So um
Yeah,
yeah,
it it
I
kind of
like what you
reminds
said
me
there.
of
Yeah.
like local races. I don't know about you, but I have a few like local races in my calendar that have course profiles that you're never going to run a PR on them, but you kind of like
Yeah.
can do them every year to just to see like if you can beat your previous course record, if you know what I mean. And I feel like
Yeah.
Boston is kind of like that. Until you've done it once, you can't really like know what you're going to run in terms of the time. It's one of those courses where you've got to just try and beat what you did last time if you ever do it. If you're lucky enough to do Boston multiple times, I know for a fact if I go to Boston and run there again, I'll be trying to beat 2:24 rather than my marathon PR.
Yep.
Because I feel like yeah, the course is just so different to any other major. You kind of have to just treat it as a different kind of race.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. What one funny thing that I've heard like a couple different pros say, like Rory, we had Johannes Moschmann on, the German athlete too. It's like apparently a thing for pros, at least like European and North American pros. Like you don't drop out of Boston even if you're having a bad race. Like a lot of pros, when they're having a bad race, they're like, ah, like I'm just gonna drop out, save it for another race in a month or so. But like Boston, apparently it's like a thing. Like you cannot drop out of Boston. So I think that's really like kind of a cool thing. So
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Boston, but the finish line is just I don't know.
uh,
It's a special experience just
yeah,
crossing the line there is there's so much history like it was definitely one of the best moments in my like running journey is
yeah,
crossing the line there and I feel like it would have been the same like obviously the race for me went really well but I, in hindsight if it hadn't have gone well I still think I would have enjoyed that finish line because it's just so iconic and look the crowds there are like 10 deep and everybody
yep,
seemed to be screaming at you and it was a pretty special finish to a marathon so I understand why people want to get to that finish line even if you're not having the perfect race or
yeah,
you've missed out on your PR by a big chunk it's still worth putting your body through those last sort of 10K just to get to that finish.
yep. Yeah, I've had 2 bad races there, and both finishes were still awesome, and then last year, my wife ran, and I ran the whole race with her. We ran, like, 3 hours 20,
Yeah.
and, I was pacing her, and it was dude, finishing with her, like, first time ever running it, it was her 2nd marathon ever. It was just she was like, "I can't believe this." Like, it was so cool,
Yeah,
so,
it's mad.
yeah,
It's that final turn, isn't it, onto what's the name of is it Boylston Street, something like that?
Boylston, yeah, Boylston.
Yeah, when you make that sort of final left turn and you just see the finish line and this huge grand city like Boston is, it's just like it's hard to get your head around it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it it's definitely something I want to experience again. So I'm sure I'll be back at a Boston Marathon in the future.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if you do, we go every year, so yeah, let us know. We'll get a shakeout run in.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
wicked.
so speaking about your running too, so you just ran a 10K, and
Yeah.
it was a PR, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went from 30:22 PR to 30:06 is the new time on the board. I was aiming for a sub 30. I knew it was going to be close, and I just missed it. I fell off the pace a little bit towards the end, but yeah, I mean you can never be too disappointed with your fastest ever time. So I'm trying to look at it that
Yeah,
way rather than I missed sub 30, but I still ran a probably one of the best races I've put together. So yeah, it's it's a weird
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. It is. And would you? I remember like you posted your splits, and I think you won out. Like your first K was like 2:53, right? Was that is that how
Yeah,
fast it was?
Yeah, to be
Was
fair, it
is there
was
anything you would change about it?
I definitely went out a little bit too hot. That first kilometer looks a little bit worse than it was. Basically, the way the race was set out is it started at the very top of like a hill. So I feel like that 2:53 in hindsight was more like a 2:57 in terms of pacing. But yeah, I went through 5K in like 14:47, and my PR is only 10 seconds quicker. So I feel like if I was to do that race again, I would have I would have liked to have been like at maybe 15:05 through halfway would have been a much smarter way to race it. But
Yeah.
the race itself was kind of you either go with the front pack or you run completely by yourself because there was like it was like this it's called Top Flight. So it's a race in the UK that's part of a organization called Run Through. And this company Run Through put on 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon races every weekend in the UK. So they're really good ones to sign up for. But they've started doing this thing called Top Flight, where they basically put on like an elite race as like just before the masses start. But
Yeah.
it's kind of more for my level in terms of the sub elite in the UK. So within this race, there was like 16 guys between 32 minutes and 29:30, let's say. And the front pack was going off at 29:30 pace. And then if I was going to run 30 pace, I'd have been on my own from the first kilometer type thing. Maybe I'd have had one other runner
Mm.
with me. So I just decided before, like, this is kind of a free hit in the build to Barcelona and Rotterdam for me. Like, just go with the pace and see how long you can hang on for. And I think I got to like 4K and then a gap sort of opened up. And then at 6K, I was kind of on my own, just like desperately trying to maintain pace. But yeah, I went from like 2:55s in the first half to like 3:05s in the second. So yeah, maybe not the smartest decision in terms of pacing, but I don't think I would have changed anything. If it had paid off, I could have run like, I don't know, 29:40, something like that. But you never know.
Yeah. Could have. Yeah. I mean, you don't know unless you try. So
Exactly.
that's what they say, the F round, find out, that's the option you take sometimes.
Yeah, and I think I
I
got
wanted
lucky in terms
Oh,
of
go ahead.
I got a good result because it could have gone completely wrong. You know, going off at a 2:53 kilometer, I could have
Yeah.
the wheels really could have fallen off, but I managed to hold it together pretty well. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the result. I'd say it was like a B plus performance. I could have done better, but
Yeah.
certainly wasn't a bad race.
I think in like a 5K or 10K too, like there's no harm in, going out aggressively and seeing what happens. But like in a marathon, like you pay for it much worse. It's a much longer race. So if the last, you know, 15K is awful, like that's going to be a pretty long day out there.
Yeah,
But, if the last 3K is painful, I mean, you can suffer through 8 to 10 minutes, no problem. So,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And
so
you
that,
learn where those lines are, the sort of red line that you think is here, but sometimes it's there, sometimes it's just below. So in the 10K, you just gotta go for it and hope for the best. And it didn't quite pay off, but I was bloody close. So yeah, happy I went for it.
dude, I gotta ask, and I'm sure maybe someone's asked you this before. Is there a rivalry with Hugo Fry brewing with you right now? Hey, you. Yeah, you. It's 2026 and you're still buying your running supplies online instead of at your local running store? If you live in the Louisville, Kentucky area, there's nowhere else to buy your running supplies than Kencomb's Running Store on Shelbyville Road. They have everything you need from daily trainers to race day shoes, an assortment of different kinds of fuel, and apparel options. If you're a first time runner going to get your first pair of running shoes, this is the place to start. They will help you get the perfect type of running shoe for your foot so you're running comfortably and injury free. If you're a more experienced runner like myself and you want to go somewhere where they're going to have your old faithful running shoe, for me, that's my size 10 Nimbus or size 10 Triumph. I'm always going to Ken Combs for that. If you're looking to get plugged into the local community, Ken Combs has a Tuesday track workout for people of all different speeds, and they can also recommend many different groups in the Louisville area. If you're not from Louisville, visit We Run Lou. That's WeRunLou.com. We have a discount code in the show notes, and you can order from Ken Combs online and support an amazing local business.
Oh, I wouldn't say so. Like we're good mates. We met for the
Yeah.
first time out in Kenya. Um, and obviously our like PRs are fairly similar with each other. He's always sort of been a few minutes ahead of me in the longer races, but we recently did a 5K on
You
New
beat him.
Year's Eve. And yeah, to be honest, when I was in that race, like Hugo's in front of me and going into the last K, I knew that like the way our profiles are, I'm much more fast twitch. Like if it was an 800-meter race, I would probably beat him by 5 or 6 seconds, I reckon. Whereas if it come when we
Yeah.
come to the marathon, he's a 217 guy now, and
Yeah.
my PR is like 223. So there's quite a sizable gap when it comes to the longer stuff. But for I feel like the 10K, if we race each other over 10K, it could be pretty close. He just smashed his
Mhm.
out of the park in Valencia. Um, on probably slightly more favorable conditions than I had in Newcastle in the UK. But
Oh, for sure.
yeah, I think it is definitely somebody I look to in the content space of being like, okay, Hugo's done this. I need to stay on things now. In terms of getting my times down. The same goes with like Cole Gibbons when he ran 216
Yeah.
in London. I was like, bloody hell! Like the creator running content creator level was like here, like 220 is going to be good. But now we've got Cole and Hugo knocking out 216, 217. The game is moving on, should we say. So those guys have definitely set the
Yeah.
standard pretty high now. So I've got some chasing, catching up to do.
Yeah, you got Nick Bester too, man, sub 220 guy, and he runs great in the 10K and 5K too. He's in his mid to late 30s. So yeah, you guys got some content creator competition going on in the UK right now. So I
Yeah,
like it.
it's good.
The
I feel
level's
like
high.
we're all pushing each other on, like whether we think of each other as rivals or not. It's just nice to see everyone like pushing what they can do and sharing the stuff across social media. And I think it does build a little bit of hype in the community of
Yeah.
people who watch like running content and be like, "Oh, Hugo's just done this. What's Ben gonna do?" Or the same goes for when
Yeah.
I did Chicago and I was meant to be racing Philly Bowden. She unfortunately got an injury in the build up, but like so many people were commenting on my YouTube videos in the build up, being like, "Oh, who's going to win between Philly and Ben?" Both have real like PRs that are a minute apart. So if anything, it just creates a little bit of hype in the like running content community, which I think is only a good thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, that would have been a great race. Philly was in good shape. Um, speaking, I mentioned Nick Bester, so he posted that video on viral, the 180 Japanese turns, U-turns. Would you do that in a race or no?
I don't know. I mean, if it proved to be more efficient, then I'd consider it. I actually
Yeah,
did see somebody do it in a race that I was in, and I was like, "What the hell did that? What was that?" He could have just. It was seemed to be
it's
so
crazy.
dangerous. I feel like in the obviously the Ekiden races out in Japan, you're often running on your own, or like if it if you're in a big pack in a marathon and you do that, I think you're gonna
Yeah,
cause some issues. People are not going to be too happy with you because obviously you're pretty out of control for that turn there. But
yeah,
yeah, I think I'll be sticking to the usual for the time being, unless it somehow comes out that it's proven to be 10, 20 seconds quicker or whatever. But yeah, it's a
yeah.
good bit of fun.
Yeah, it is. It is really funny, and I think like yeah, it's Nick timed it, and it like made no difference, and it's like it
Yeah,
requires most runners aren't like super like coordinated or athletic. Some are, but like
yeah,
that requires like a good amount of coordination, athleticism, or you're gonna like turn your ankle, tear your
yeah.
ACL even. So yeah,
We have a
so yeah,
180-degree turn in my local park run, which is like a I don't you don't have park runs in America, do you? But you're familiar with the
not
concept.
many now.
There's like
I'm familiar. Oh yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah,
my local park run anyway has like a 180-degree turn, so I could practice it at park run and see how it goes. But I don't think it's going to be a strategy I take into marathon racing, as fun as it looks.
yeah. Yeah, could be some good content for the future, but I wanted to ask too, like obviously you just PR'd in the 10K, and one of your recent videos you talked about kind of how you're approaching training this block where you're going to be mixing in a lot of the bike, and I really like that because I think some people and you just like proven that it works with this race, right? Like the fitness is good. And I think like, as long as you're like on the road for like your sessions, you can do like as long as your heart rate's like in the right zone on the bike, you can get like so much volume in, and it's like essentially the same as doing like just like easy running zone 2, zone 1 stuff on the road. And I think like a lot of people understand that argument maybe, but they don't like, I don't know, like to see you doing it in practice and it clearly working. It's pretty cool that you like just got a PR off of doing that. So like how much like are you doing on the bike, and are you going to like do this for the foreseeable future, do you think?
Yeah, so I'm 2 for 2 actually since I've started adding the bike in terms of PRs. So the 5K was the first time I raced since adding all this bike stuff. And to be honest, going into that race, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to break 15 minutes because all the stuff I've been doing in training is base building. I haven't been smashing it out on the bike. I've just been doing like super easy zone 1, zone 2 rides. So I wasn't necessarily expecting to run so well in that first 5K. And it's, to be honest, after that race, that's the reason I did a 10K, because I was like, wow, like I'm crazy fit at the moment, and I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
So the bike has definitely contributed to that. And what I've basically done is just reduce my run volume by about 20-30%, and then added about 6 to 8 hours of indoor bike in the last sort of 2 or 3 months. And yeah, like you said, I've been able to still get out and do all my sessions, and the actual quality of my running, if anything, has improved slightly. So that's
Mm.
probably another reason why the results have been good. And yeah, I do plan to do it moving forward, but I feel like it's definitely going to be more of like a base building tool rather than a like a
Yep.
long term long. I went it like in the more specific training phase, but before a race, then I don't see myself doing as much biking, just because
Mm.
obviously, like when it comes to marathons, you need to be super like dialed into the requirements for that race in terms of durability and
Yeah.
yeah, making sure that you've got enough miles in the legs to get round 26 miles. But in the base building phase, it's been yeah incredible. I've increased my training load, not by a huge amount, but by enough to yeah clearly see some benefits. And I think it also comes down to when you add something new. I don't know if you know Mads, Victor's coach. He always
Oh
talks
yeah.
about
Oh
like
yeah.
when you add a new stimulus to your training, then it your body's going to respond to it. So in terms of, I feel like on a cellular level, like mitochondrial density or whatever, the more biological terminology is, I feel like I'm so much more efficient now, having added some biking, which is a new stimulus to my training. When it comes to
Mm.
like my both my LT1 and LT2 have actually bumped up. So I did a lab test
Oh,
yesterday, um, and
cool.
my results are looking better than they ever have done, especially at this time of the year. So yeah, I'm excited
Wow.
that the biking is paying off for me. I'm not sure if it would work for everyone, but yeah, it definitely suggests that you don't have to do all of your training as running. You can definitely like do some cross training, especially if you're somebody like me who was getting injured from the high volume. Like you seem to be able to handle it just fine. Victor can handle it. Jake Barraclough is an absolute mileage merchant. But if I was to run like 300 kilometers a week, I'd be broken. I wouldn't be able to run the next month, you know. So I had to come up with
Yeah.
kind of a new approach. So yeah, for me, that's running 120K a week. Not sure what that is in miles, but yeah, supplementing that with the biking, and it seems to be working so working well so far.
Yeah, that's still a good amount of running, but yeah, that's a lot of time on bike. That's almost like that's like an hour a day. So that's really cool. I'm curious, what paces did they say your LT1 and LT2 are at on the test? Do you remember?
Let me see if I can get the results.
If
I
you don't know, if you don't know off the top of your head, it's good.
it was like it was a ramp test, and it started at like three 340 all the way down to like 250 pace. and I
Yeah.
think my LT1 is kind of around like high 320s, and then my LT2 is like almost 3 minutes per kilometer now, like 302, I think it comes out at. So
Wow.
yeah, some good results. I just feel like the 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 thresholds are in a really good place. I just need to now work on the more specific training, especially ahead of like Barcelona, some longer
Yeah.
tempos, building that durability at threshold pace, because my LT2 might be the highest it's ever been, but I don't think I can maintain my threshold pace for as long as I sometimes can, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
the data's looking really good. I just got to do some more specific training ahead of both Barca and Rotterdam to lock in those paces. So yeah, we'll see. I'm going to aim for around 305 per kilometer, like 5 minute mile in for Barcelona, and yeah, see how that pans out.
That would be what, like 64 high, 65 minutes, something like that, right for the half?
Yeah, I think I'm going to shoot for like 64 high, because my PR at the moment is 63.20. Um, and I feel like
Nice.
65 would be an incredible run, but I don't know how
Yeah.
much, like, in terms of progressing, like a 65 to me is the same as a 66. I don't know why, but I feel like
Mm.
if I can get into the 64s, then it's like, yeah, wow, that's some serious half marathon time. So for me, I'm going to take a little bit more of a punt at trying to run in the 64s, and if I blow up and run 70 minutes, then at least I gave it a go. But yeah, kind of discussing that with Victor. I think like I'm gonna start off at 305 per k pace, and then hopefully not fade too much in the second half. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Need to do some of those
Yeah. Well,
specific sessions, and then I'll have a bit more of an idea.
you'll have good competition in a fast course in Barcelona. I know you've ran it. That's where your current PR is. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that'll
If
be awesome.
if it's gonna happen anywhere, it'll be there. So the pack I had last year
The-
literally pulled me around to a 66. I sat in the pack. I did none of the work until the last like 2 kilometers. So if I can get a race like that where everything clicks, then yeah, hopefully a minute PR is on the cards. I can see, but we never know.
I think you're right. Like when I see 65 minutes, I'm still thinking like sub elite range, but when I see someone's run like under 65, it's like, okay, this guy's like kind of breaking into the elite, category. So I agree with your mindset there for sure on those times. And I like that you're going to erase it aggressively. That's cool for sure.
Yeah, give it a go.
Uh,
Why not? In the
yeah.
UK, we kind of have these there's these two levels of like competing for your country. There's like you get a GB vest, which are like pro runners, and then there's these like England vests, which are kind of like a little bit easier to come by. They're not like, I don't know, they're not pro runners that get England vests. They're kind of like people that are showing potential. And a lot of the runners that get these England vests run like between 63 and 64 minutes for the half. So for me, I feel like it's worth taking a punt to
Mm.
try and see if I can get to that level, rather than just aiming for something safe and running like 20, 30 seconds. I want to try and take a little bit of a punt and see if it pays off. And then, yeah, you never know. Um, an England vest can get a little bit closer, um, but yeah, that's the kind of thinking going into Barca.
Am I thinking of someone else or did Nick Vester get an England vest?
Yeah, I think Nick got his through his like masters running, so he's in like
Oh, okay.
V35, is it, or V40? I'm not sure his age, but yeah, the
Yeah.
England have like a masters category as well, so they're a little bit easier to
Uh,
come by than the famous
yeah.
GB vests, but it's definitely something to work towards. Um, like
That's cool.
I wasn't miles off it for like there was one year they sent a team to do the Copenhagen Marathon, and I think
Mm.
in that race I actually beat one of the guys who was wearing an England vest, and I was like, oh, like
Nice.
I think he didn't have a great race himself, but it was definitely one of those where you're like, okay, if I can beat somebody who's wearing an England vest, maybe one day I can and get to that level. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right. So you're doing Rotterdam. And I know it's the same month as London. Was it hard to make that decision between Rotterdam, London, or yeah, I know like even Manchester is in April
Yeah.
too, another great option. So how'd you land on Rotterdam?
Yeah, to be honest, I think because London for me went so badly last year, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to risk doing that again. And then I don't know, you get another hot day and it goes to shit, and then like you never want to do London again. So I'll definitely come back to London Marathon and try and run a quick time there. But I just fancied doing something maybe a little bit low key this year. Was
Mhm.
decide try and yeah take another slice off the pie. And also Rotterdam, I can get like sub elite entry there, so I'll get drinks out on the course, and it's completely flat. It seems to be really good for like sub elite level. Like
Yeah.
obviously you've got the world majors where you've got an incredible depth at the pro level, but for race like Rotterdam, they don't necessarily have like a crazy like competitive pro field. Even though I think Abdi Nagy is there, or Bashir Abdi, something like that. One of the top
Really?
Dutch runners is running it, so I'm sure there'll be some fast
Yeah.
guys. But for like 220 pace, there should be a group of at least 20, 30 guys going for the same sort of thing. So I thought that's probably going to be a good choice for me in terms of getting in that sort of range now.
Yeah. The bottles is so helpful. And I think we've talked about this on this podcast before. Like, running the majors is logistically like pretty complicated. Like, I think you end up like taking so many steps and you have to get up earlier for the majors. Like, the logistics of them, I feel like it kind of takes some energy out of you before the race. And then a race like Rotterdam, it's like, I just got to walk out of my hotel and go to the corral and like, that's it. Like it's
Yeah,
much less steps, much less time on feet before the race. So I think for like a sub elite athlete, it does make a lot of sense to like do a race like Rotterdam, where logistically it's just a lot easier and much less time on feet. So yeah, I like the choice for sure. I think that's a great move.
yeah. I think we also
Great
have
move.
Copenhagen Marathon in Europe as well, which is another good one to
Hmm.
if people listening are in the sub elite category, like me and yourself, then yeah, Copenhagen is another really good one because again, we can get bottles out on course. I think it's under like 230. If you run a sub 230, then you can get bottles. So
Wow.
it makes a big difference. And that. I ran Copenhagen. I think it was a couple of years ago now, maybe coming back from my stress fracture, and I had bottles out there on the course like every 5K, and it was by far the most like level my energy levels had been across a marathon. Like I didn't bonk at all. It was perfect in terms of just
Wow.
having that constant fuel source. So it makes a big
Yeah.
difference. So I'm hoping that that will be the case again in Rotterdam.
When I have bottles, I usually use it as like kind of a top up, like backup kind of thing where I just like sip on it and throw it. But I'm always worried either like A, someone's gonna take my bottle, or B, someone's gonna like knock it over. So I always like to do gels, but then have the bottle as kind of like this is my backup or top up on some carbs, whatever. But it's nice to have for sure. But I've heard too many stories about people not getting their bottle for whatever reason, and then they are, go through the marathon with no carbs. So it's a risky thing.
Yeah, that's basically what I did when I had bottles. I stuck to my gels like I normally would, but I just if I could grab the bottle and
Yeah.
take a couple of sips, then that was a great little top up, and it just keeps the variety there as well, I guess, rather than just having
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
chow down gels every 5K. It's nice to mix it up. If you get a bottle, brilliant. If not, then
Yeah.
you've got a backup.
Yeah, you got to back up. Yeah. All right, let's finish this. I want your opinion on a few like current events and running. So one of the big things that came out was Albert Korir got popped for doping. New York City Marathon champ. I don't know if did you see that on socials at all?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So what do you think? A lot of top Kenyan athletes have been getting popped lately. Do you think there's any solution to the doping problem in Kenya? And I guess I'm curious on your opinion too, because you were there. You saw a lot of the pro athletes working out in E10. Did you like see like getting like access to EPO and stuff like that? Was that like something like visibly that you saw visiting Kenya, or do you have any opinions on like solutions to the issue, or do you think the sport's just in a lot of trouble going forward? Because I'm not sure there is a great solution.
Yeah, I mean, when I was out in Kenya, I definitely didn't see any like people handing it out at the side of the road type thing or down at the track.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I guess from a surface level, when you're there, you're kind of oblivious to it. Like you don't really, if it's happening, you don't see it. And but I have heard like stories where the drugs integrity people would like go down to a local track and then everybody would scatter in terms of like nobody wanted to get tested, just so like obviously there is something going on behind the scenes that is really widespread and that needs to be dealt with. I know like the Kenyan athletics board have been seen to try and like improve their own like in-country testing. There's definitely been like a they're trying to improve the testing so that it's not so prevalent. But yeah, it's a shame really to see even like at the top level still like athletes getting popped. Like
yeah,
the it's really difficult to then get excited about results, like especially the whole Ruth running that ridiculous time in
yeah,
Chicago, and then like a year later, it's like, oh yeah, she was on drugs, but we're going to keep that record because
yep,
when she ran the record, she was clean. And for me, if somebody gets popped for taking anything, then I feel like all of their records should be wiped. Like they should give prize money back. If they ran a world record when they were clean, that's irrelevant. Like they've broken the rules now. So how can we possibly trust that? Yes, they tested negative at the time, but maybe they were just taking something that hid that. I feel like as soon as you break that
yeah,
level of trust with the the viewer and yeah, then I feel like those times are just irrelevant. Especially when it comes to records. You've only got to look at like the 10K record and the talk around Andreas running the European record was fantastic in
yeah,
Valencia, but people were saying, "Oh yeah, the times that were faster than Andreas, they're not. We can't even like look at those as legit because I think it was like Kip Bruto got done for taking drugs, but his 10K time is still the fastest road 10K ever. Like I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me the way we look at results and doping. If there is a clear violation of the rules, then why are we still looking at these results? They should be wiped. Like it just makes sense.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it is a real shame because
yeah,
I feel like also when you go to Kenya, you see so much of what's great about the Kenyan running culture and like the reasons
yeah,
people train out there is not because they want to get into running because it just seems fun or they want to join their local run club. It's like a real opportunity to get out of poverty, to put food on the table,
yeah,
to experience a life that they just wouldn't get by doing anything else because they just don't have the opportunity. So it's really hard when you see loads more doping scandals coming out of Kenya because you want to be an advocate for it, for Kenyan running because like I've seen some of the incredible stuff over there. Like I've learned so much about my own training. Um, so it's a real shame when you see the top level athletes getting done for stuff and yeah, it just puts a sour taste in
yeah,
your mouth when it comes to talking about top level running, which is a real shame. And hopefully we can get it cleaned up. But yeah, more and more athletes seem to be getting done for it. So it's not looking too
what
promising, is it?
one no, yeah, well, one interesting insight that I've heard from some pro runners is that the like agents of these athletes get like no trouble at all. So they can like still, they collect the money, the proceeds of the winnings from like someone like Ruth Chepngetich. And then that like agent who probably helped facilitate, the doping, no penalty, can continue working. I mean, there's one agent in
Yeah,
particular that works with Nike, Rosa. I mean, he's got like a laundry list of like athletes that have been caught, and like he's still active, and like there's no harm, no foul with him, and he's just like rinsing and repeating the same process over and over. Like, let's get this person on the sauce. Let's have them win some races. I'm gonna collect my money. Okay, they got popped. Next one, and it's just like So like the
Yeah,
coaches and
that
agents need to get in trouble too. That would be extremely helpful, but there's nothing like that. So
yeah, definitely. I mean,
I don't,
you can blame the athlete, but then you got to look at the systems and the structures around them that are clearly like failing them. And in
yeah,
cases where, yeah, a coach who's coaching 20 athletes that have been suspended needs to be in, like, the spotlight needs to be on them a little bit more than it currently is,
yeah,
um, in terms of getting a widespread ban, on them as a coach. And then, yeah, if my coach was found to be coaching athletes that are all on drugs, I certainly wouldn't want to stay with him because, like, or
yeah,
her, um, because your name's surely going to get tainted. So we need to put more pressure um, on the systems that are also failing the athletes. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I agree. And like I like Jacob Kiplimo, one of the best runners in the world right now, like from Uganda, won Chicago. It's like, why are you affiliated with this guy that's like been caught so many times? Like his agent is like the Rosa guy, and I'm just like, dude, like if you don't want anyone to question your results, like you need to disassociate from people that have like a history of this. But I don't understand.
yeah,
But whatever, you know. Speaking of Kiplimo, did you see any coverage of World Cross Country at all?
yeah. I watched pretty much all of it, to be honest. I
Oh, you
found
did?
the relays were way more exciting than the actual 10K races. I actually found them to be a bit like kind of predictable. I don't know about you, like there
Yes.
wasn't too much excitement happen. Like I was really hoping like Jimmy Gressier was going to be like at the pointy end of the race, but I think because the conditions were like so
It was
ridiculous,
warm.
yeah, super hot, and I feel like all of the European and American athletes kind of suffered a bit, and then that kind of I feel like when conditions are hot like that, it just widens the gap between what the African runners can do and what the European runners can do because it's just a case of like the Kenyans, Ethiopians, Ugandans are used to those conditions. They're training
Yeah.
it their whole life. So unfortunately, when you get a really hot race like that, then it kind of made for a less of a spectacle of a race in the 10K. But the relays was kind of a different story. I really enjoyed watching that, and
Fun.
it was great to see. Ollie Hoare is like a personal
Yeah.
favorite of mine in the running space, like the Coffee Club podcast. I've listened to that for a number of years, and I know Ollie has had some real tough races, like in the last few years, struggled a little bit with the social media pressures and stuff like that. So to see him now
Yeah.
sitting on the podcast with a gold medal was like, yeah, that was pretty cool. Even if
Yeah.
he got lucky with having Jess Hull as a final leg, like
Yeah.
2K world record holder. It's going to take a lot to beat somebody like that, but the whole Aussie team looked
Yeah.
like they absolutely smashed it. So that was probably my standout like performance.
Yeah. It was funny that so the US had Ethan Strand, who's like a great 1500 runner, and they had like a USA World Cross Country Trials, and one of the races, like obviously they had a 10K race to make the team, and then they had like a 2K race for the relay. So like they just
Yeah,
had 20 guys just like racing just 2K on a cross country course, and that was it. And I thought that was like really funny and kind of unique, but
we
I don't
kind of
think
have
they
the same
medaled the
thing in the
same.
UK. A lot of like we have like a short course and a long course at these cross country meets now for like selection policies. Even though there was a little bit of like drama, controversy in the way the British team was selected. They basically
Yeah.
said they were going to follow a set of criteria, and then at the end of the day, they just threw out the rule book and selected who they wanted to. So, yeah,
Mm.
that didn't quite go so well. But usually, there's like a a mile or yeah 2K race, like you're saying in the UK, which selects who's going to go and get in these relay teams. So it's cool to see
Yeah.
two different types of cross country
Yeah.
races because yeah, as I said, a 10K cross country can be a little bit boring, I find sometimes. Whereas the relays are like super high energy. You don't know who's going to win until the final leg type thing. So I personally find those a
Yeah.
little bit more stimulating from a viewer perspective. But it looked pretty good. I,
Yeah.
I think they did a good job of the World Cross. in Florida.
I,
It looked good, like a good event.
well, I was gonna ask, do you think anything on the course was like a little too like goofy or like gimmicky? Like they had the alligators to jump over, they had a sand area, they had a water pit, they had like a fake hill off the
Yeah.
course. Like, did you think any of that was like too much, or did you enjoy that as a viewer?
At first I thought, oh God, this looks kind of terrible, a bit budget. But
That's what I
then
thought.
like watching the races, it was kind of like it did add a little bit of something to it, you know. Otherwise it can just be a little bit boring. But I feel like some of the obstacles weren't executed very well. Like the water with
Yeah,
the blue water pit was terrible. The fact that
that was
athletes could
bad.
basically run around the outside and not go through it was like, yeah, just fundamentally bad design in terms of course. And even like the muddy section was just
Yeah,
like either side of the mud, there was just these two banks that were completely dry. So I feel like if you're going to have
yeah,
these um, things in the cross country, then they need to be, yeah, they needed to execute them maybe ever so slightly better. As harsh as that sounds, they were fun and I enjoyed them. But yeah, some
yeah.
they were a little bit questionable, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, I think cross country needs like some elements like that, like some mud at least or something. But yeah, some of it was a little like too gimmicky for me for sure. Um, Last thing I had, so there's no outdoor world championships this year in track and field. So I think it's going to be a year where people are like going for fast times, which is really exciting. Do you have any thoughts like or any records that you think might go down this year? Like for example, like I think Jakob is going to go for the 1500 world record. I think he's gonna might go for the 5K as well. Do you think anything like really exciting could happen this year, like or Almgren, anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like athletes are gonna maybe like switch up what they do a little bit more because there isn't these major championships like they always training towards. So it gives them a degree of flexibility. So I wouldn't be surprised if, say, somebody who's typically a 1500-meter runner gives a 10K a go, you know, just because they can. Um, so I feel like we're going to see quite a lot of that. I'd love to see Andreas like do a marathon, but I don't think he will because he's just he's excelling at like the shorter stuff at the moment. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed when he did the 10K in Valencia. He posted his chorus to his story. I don't know if you saw that, and it was like his prediction for the marathon was like 1:59:40, and I was like, oh,
No.
yeah, sub two. So obviously, I'm sure he would say himself, like, he'd obviously have to completely change up the way he's training for that to be anywhere near possible.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of athletes are gonna try and do some different things, switch it up a little bit, do some stuff that maybe they've wanted to do for a little while that they haven't had the opportunity to do. So whether that's like a world major or yeah, target some national records. I think there'll be some exciting running this year, even if we don't have those sort of major world or Olympic championships.
Yeah, I definitely want like two things I want. I want Faith Kipyegon to go for the mile record. I want her to break 4. I want her to try to do that again this year. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
I want Sebastian Salway men's marathon world record. I think he can do that. I'm
yeah,
not sure.
I
I'm
agree.
assuming he's going to run London, but I don't know.
I think we need to
And then
get
yeah,
like
Jakob 100.
we need to get Sebastian Salway, Korir, and then a really strong pacing setup for a sub two attempt
Yeah,
in an actual race. I think that would be super cool to see. Even if there's like if we have one Nike athlete, one Adidas athlete, one Asics athlete, you know, as the guys that are going for it, and then each of those big brands put in
yeah,
real emphasis on building out a pacing team would be really cool to see because it's been a little while now
yeah.
since Kipchoge's 1:59. You know, I thought after that it was going to be a matter of time, but um, yeah, it hasn't
Hmm.
happened yet. So maybe 2026 is the year for it.
Yeah, do Kiplimo with Nike, Salway's Adidas, and then John Corrier's Asics. So
Yeah,
it's
put them all in the
perfect.
same race.
But
That
they'll
would be great.
never like they won't do it though. John's running Boston. They already announced that. Saway's not. I doubt Saway's running Boston, and then I don't know what Kiplima's doing, um, but I doubt he's running Boston. So I don't know if we'll get it, but that would be from a fan's perspective, that would be awesome. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
Ben, that's all I got. Anything else you wanted to talk about, man, or all good?
No, I think that we've discussed some exciting topics there. I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to watching Boston now after even just touching on it for a little bit. Forgot that was coming up. Yeah, we've got a load of
Yep.
spring marathons to look forward to. So I'm sure we can find time to jump on a call and discuss some of these results in the coming months. But yeah, great to chat with you as always, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, great to chat. I think once the men's Boston field comes out and then the London fields, that'll definitely be something to talk about next time for sure. So, yeah, looking forward to it for sure. But all right, episode 237 with Ben Felton. We'll catch you on 238. I'll have all Ben's links in the show notes. I'm sure you follow him already, but if you don't, give him a follow. But we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.